no matter where you are, no matter when you are, good morning. Alright, let's just jump right into it. So, the story, the talk of the town, the talk of the world, the talk of the, you name it. This is the talk. So, there's a missing submersible, not a missing submarine. A missing submarine's a much larger object. This is a submersible. This is a ship that went under, having 5 people on it. This ship was not exactly built for this. So there's a picture of what it looks like. This story has been developing quite crazily and quite fast. So yesterday around 2 p.m. is reported that the submersive only had about 40 hours of air left. Now, this is a submersive that has one window. It's made of carbon fiber, which isn't meant to go that deep in the ocean. And I think the craziest part of it all is the fact that there's so much in this story that it's hard to choose which part to talk about. But let's talk about this. This is a Logitech GF 710 wireless gamepad controller. This is something you plug into an old PC. It is not around anymore. It is not made anymore. I mean, look at it. It looks cheap. I don't have that one, but I have something similar right here, wired. You hear how cheap that is? This is a $40 controller back then when it came out. This is what they're using to drive this submersive. This was a $250,000 trip for people to get on it. Now, it's very interesting because this thing's gone, and I'm sorry if that's whatever, it's called a little dark, but we now know a lot about how this was kind of a scam, that the people doing this didn't care. They knew that things were going to be wrong. They fired their safety coordinator the day that he came out and said the window in the submersive isn't strong enough to hold underwater, it'll crack and break. They fired him. It's now missing. No one can find it because they have no communication systems, no GPS system. They can't drive it themselves. They use a controller to drive it. These people are gone, and I know that's sad, and I feel for their families because these were just people trying to do something cool. They were going on a thrill-seeking adventure. It's no different than skydiving, but if somebody offered me the chance to go in a submarine submersive to visit the Titanic shipwreckage, yeah, I want to see the Titanic in real life. The movie's cool, the history's cool. I want to see it in real life, but would I ever go do it even if I had the chance? No, because of all the fears that came true and were realized during this event. So, plus, last note before I move on, because otherwise I'll just do another tangent. Even if we found the submersive, the Navy doesn't have equipment strong enough to just pull it up from those types of depths. So even if we find it, we're not going to be able to pull it up. So this is a very unfortunate thing where now we know some lives were unfortunately lost. Now, who knows? I might be wrong. Tomorrow we might wake up and be like, oh my gosh, they found it. Oh my gosh, they somehow pulled it out of the ocean. Oh my gosh. I hope that happens. But unlike most news sources, I'm trying to be realistic with you all and let you know that less than 40 hours of air yesterday, no GPS, no communication, can't drive it, you can't see out of it. The sonars can't pick it up. There's a lot going on that makes it not look too positive outside of what might happen next. So it's a wait and see, even though we can kind of assume what the sea is going to be. So, next story. We'll get local real quick. I'll go over this super fast. Tick nests, they're popping up. So, what do they look like? They have an image down here. No, they don't. They did earlier. Okay, so, let me see if I can't quickly find what these look like for you. They look like caviar. In other words, they look like, yeah. So if you see this, you see this, you see this, these are all disgusting. I am so sorry. I am so sorry. But if you see a tick nest, what should you do? Because we live in Michigan and ticks are definitely going to be huge. Look, I like their intro. Tick season is in full swing for Michiganders, and this year the state's tick problem is worse than ever. That's not good. Ticks are bad. We don't want to get bitten. It itches, it causes diseases, and it can cause spreading. So, if you see a cluster of caviar tick eggs, what do? Well, you put on gloves, and you then carefully remove it from the area while still wearing your gloves. Once you have it removed, you actually put it in a bath of rubbing alcohol, I believe. I had never heard this way, but it is apparently a good thing that will actually work. So if we look in there, what do I do if I find a tick's nest? Eight-legged adults. Ticks resist. Eight-legged adults? Why did I just read it like that? That's so funny. Submerging the tick eggs into rubbing alcohol will kill the eggs, but be sure you are careful and use gloves. So, ticks are wild throughout in larger numbers than ever, friends. Make sure you're checking after you go outside and play and all that good jazz. Okay. Fun story. So, a New Orleans student has a scholarship offer from 149 different colleges. Wow, that's so many. That's so many. Props to this kid. So this is Dennis Malik Barnes, and he decided that he wanted to go to Cornell University after receiving a total of $10 million worth of scholarship offers. That's pro athlete levels of money, and he got it because of doing well in school. Props to him. Now, it is important to note that he is a 16-year-old, so he's not done with college, but in the time that he's in, he already has a 4.98 grade average out of 4, so he almost has a whole point extra. He also has 27 college credits because he dual enrolled at the University of New Orleans. This is super awesome, and props to Dennis, because I think this story is the type of thing that you should all strive for. I think seeing this should make you realize, wow, people, if they just do their best and try their hardest, they get rewarded, because that's what you deserve when you work and try hard. So I wanted to make sure I gave this a spotlight, because this is an awesome story. Everyone deserves to hear about that. Shouts out Dennis. Good job, young sir. Keep doing you. All right. Last story of the day. Now, I'm not going to cover the story actually as much. If you were curious, you can look it up. There's a lot of good news articles covering it. I went with the New York Times one. So in this past year, we've been dealing with a lot of book bans. Hold on. Mainly in Florida, where we see authors and books that belong to the LGBTQ plus community are being banned from schools. Now, that's not good. You shouldn't ban books from school unless it does things like incites violence or radicalizes people to commit acts of violence or something like that. So what's happening? Well, imagine being a student and you like a book or an author, and all of a sudden your school's like, yeah, you can't read that anymore because they're gay or because the main character is gay. Not exactly the best reason to ban a book. So it's quite interesting, because now we see, as of recent, authors and students sue over Florida trying to ban these books. But there's something I want to talk about that is not part of the news story itself. And that is what should be being brought up around the country. Is book banning constitutional? So, I want us to see this. Now, I'm going to read the highlighted proportion here so that way we can get the full context. It says, this is about, can the USA ban books in schools under the First Amendment right, freedom of speech? So, that is because the U.S. Supreme Court has ruled that students have the same First Amendment right as anyone else in the school libraries, and removing books based on content is unconstitutional censorship. Writing with the majority that in 1982, the case, the Board of Education versus Pico, Justice William J. Bernard Jr. concluded that school officials may not exercise their dissertation to remove books based on narrowly partisan or political grounds, because that would amount to an official suppression of ideas. In other words, you can't ban a book because you do not agree with it. You cannot ban a book because it goes against your political beliefs. You cannot ban a book because it offended you. You can only ban books when it does harm to the community or to the school. So the fact that people are banning these books just because they happen to belong to the LGBTQ plus community is an issue along its own. But now we have a literal law issue where we have a Supreme Court decision from 1982, so it's not even that long ago, that this should not be happening, yet it's still happening. In fact, the guy behind all of this, Robert DeSantis, is now running for U.S. president. The man who is banning all these books and getting by it and not even getting touched by the Supreme Court case and the law that it creates, protecting that of the First Amendment, is openly being ignored by everyone. This is a wild one. Like I said, this isn't news per se. This is so much as taking a news article and bringing real life information and facts to it. So it's very upsetting, and it'll be very interesting I am a lawyer. All right. So it'll be very interesting to see how this continues, because are we gonna, I don't know. I don't want to speculate too much because I want this video to be about the news. So I'm going to end it there, friends. Thank you. This was a shorter news. I hope to see you next week. It's been a blast. Have a great day, everyone. Bye.